Good morning to all of you. In last lectures, we have discussed about the introductory part of microencapsulations. So, microencapsulations, we have seen different applications of the microencapsulation technology. These are the three important areas of microencapsulations applications are first thing that is stabilizations of core materials, the control of release or availability of the core materials, and third one that is the separations of chemical reactive ingredients within a tablet or a powder mixture. But the same thing, as we know, the main aim of microencapsulation application is the isolations of core material from the surroundings. The wall must be ruptured at the time of the release. Properties of microencapsulated materials has to be considered while formulating the any microencapsulated product. So we have discussed under the core material as well as in a coating material discussions. The selections of specific coating material from the various lists of ingredients are there, but before selecting that coating materials, there are some questions that we have to answer. So first thing, what are the specific dosage forms or the product requirements? Means for the stabilization purpose, we are using that coating materials, or for the reduce the volatility or the release characteristics or the protection from the environmental conditions. For what purpose we are using that coating material, that has to be considered, and what coating materials will satisfy the product objectives and the requirement. It is the important thing that we have to consider while selecting the coating materials. Now, and important to the methods that we are using. As with the core materials, it's a specific material to be coated. It can be liquid or a solid. The coating materials which we are providing the food, that will provide the three basic advantages, that is stabilizations, protections and separations. Now the release properties of microencapsulated materials that require the proper precautions while selecting, because the coated materials that must be released in a predictable and a reproducible manner. There are various mechanisms which are available to release the encapsulated core materials that I have enlisted here. So the disruptions of the coating that can be occurred by the pressure or a shear stress, means by the erodible things that we already discussed in sustained release dosage form, or by melting the wall, whatever the polymers that we are using that can get, that are temperature sensitive, that get made at the body temperature, and they release their medicaments by dissolving in under particular conditions. So here the basic mechanism that we have studied under the sustained release dosage form, the dissolution control drug delivery system. The same here we have adopted. So for the enteric drug coating, depending upon the solvent, this particular material is uh, released. So the rate of release of functions of the permeability of the coating to the extraction fluids, we can call them as the permeselectivity. If if any of the coating materials, so core material solutes, so that can be dissolved and that can release their medicaments. Release can be achieved by enzymatic attack. There are different enzymes are present inside the body or inside a gastric juice. So they can be attacked on our coating materials and they will start rupturing their materials, and the core material can be released by enzymatic attack. There are some chemical reactions, hydrolysis will be there, or different reactions that will occur. So that reactions will help to release the medicament. So we can say that, so there are various mechanisms that can be adopted or that can be helpful for releasing the core materials from the coating that we have provided. So basically by pressures, shear or the abrasion forces, or also the permeability changes brought about by the enzymatically. Also the release can be achieved from the inert coating by the diffusions or by dissolution system, as well as, so basically the coating and coating to core material solutes, the dissolution rate of the core materials, the coating thickness and the concentration gradient across the coating membrane that plays very important role for their release purpose. So these are different release mechanisms are there by which the coated micro encapsulated materials that get released. Now we'll discuss about the different methods for the preparations of methodology for the microencapsulation process. So preparations of the microsphere that should satisfy the certain criteria. First thing, the ability to incorporate the reasonably high concentrations of the drug. Second one, the stability of the preparations after the synthesis with a clinically acceptable shelf life. So basically, whenever we are formulating the microencapsulations, we have to consider that whatever the methods that we are using, either solvent evaporation method will be there, either air suspension or the Worcester method will be there, or the co-observation phase separation will be there. So they should have the proper ability to incorporate the reasonably high concentrations of the drug. Because as we have already discussed, the release mechanism that is most commonly based on a concentration gradient, the thickness of our coating material. So it should be means that whatever material that we are using, that should have the high concentration, that can incorporate the high concentration of the drug. Also the stability of the preparations after the formulations. As already in the introductory part I have mentioned the three basic areas where the microencapsulations will be applicable is first thing, that is the stabilizations of our product, or we are protecting that product from the external as well as the internal environmental conditions. So the stability of the preparations must be acceptable throughout their shelf life. Also, the control particle size and dispersibility in an aqueous vehicle for the injection purpose, as we have called the micro encapsulated system. Micro, that is having the specific micron size that has to be controlled here, as well as the dispersibility in an aqueous vehicle for the injections. Mostly those are the targeted drug delivery systems where we are using the micro encapsulated particles where they get delivered at that specific sites. So where whatever the material that we are dissolving, that they have proper dispersibility in whatever the vehicle that we are using for the injection purpose. It should release active agents with a good control over the wide time scale, as in a sustained release dosage form. Whatever the release pattern will be there, or release of the active ingredients, in any ways we have discussed the release mechanisms by diffusion, by enzymatic activity, or by melting, or depending upon the pH. But it should release the medicaments with a good control. It's not like that it should easily rupture and it will release the medicament immediately. It should interact with the surroundings, and depending upon that they will release their medicaments in a good control over a wide time scale. Along with that, the biocompatibility with the controllable biodegradability, that is the important thing here. Biocompatibility as well as the biodegradability. Biocompatibility, it should be biocompatible with other ingredients as well as what are the content inside the GI tract. It should be biocompatible. It should not produce some toxic effects, as well as it should be biodegradable. Biodegradable in the sense, once they release their medicaments, whatever the coating polymers that we are using, that should release their, or it should be biodegradable inside our body. By enzymatically or by any action, it should be degraded. So that's why it is a biocompatible with controllable biodegradability, and it should be susceptible to the chemical modification. So these are the things that we have to consider while using any method. So microencapsulations methods that have been or being adapted to the pharmaceutical use, which includes the various methods. There are 10 to 12 methods are there, like air suspensions, co-adsorption phase separations, spray drying, annealing methods, or pan coating methods, or solvent evaporation techniques. These are the main methods are there. So, so depending upon the physical nature of the core materials and the particle size ranges is applicable to each process that they are given, means in co-adsorption air suspension methods, approximately 35 to 5000 micron particle size that can be considered, as well as in the same in spray drying or congealing methods, mostly 600 micron particle size can be acceptable. But max to max 5000 micron size is acceptable. Basically, 5000 micron size is not a particle limitation, but the methods that are applicable to the macro coating, for that purpose of these particle size they are provided. So these are the things that we have to consider while uh, the method should satisfy these things. First thing, it should have the ability to incorporate a high concentration of the drug. Second one, the stability of the preparations after the synthesis with clinically acceptable life, control particle size, and dispersibility in aqueous vehicles for the injection purpose. It should release the active reagents to good control over a wide time scale. It should be biocompatible as well as biodegradable, and it should susceptible to the chemical modification. So these are the criteria for the selections of methods. Now these are the different methods are there. As already I have discussed, there are 10 methods are there. Air suspension methods, which is also called the Wooster methods. Then co-adsorption process, that basically that we have performed in a lab also. Then spray drying and congealing method. Pan coating method, which is similar to our tablet coating, where we are using the pan that already we have discussed in the tablet coating process. That the same process here we are using, but that we are using for the microparticles. Then the solvent evaporation methods, polymerization is there, extrusion method is also there, then single and double immersion techniques, supercritical fluid anti-solvent method is also there, and last one, that is the nozzle vibration technology. So we'll see one by one in detail. So first method, so basically depending upon the physical and the physiochemical techniques, these are the four main techniques are there: air suspension, centrifugal extrusion, pan coating, and spray drying. So under the spray drying, co-current method, counter current method, mixed flow method is there, and fifth one is the vibrational nozzles. Under the physiochemical methods, inotropic gelations and co-adsorption method is there. And under the chemical method, solvent evaporations, polymerization. Under the polymerizations, interfacial polymers, in situ polymerizations, and the matrix polymerization. So that we are going to discuss in detail. Today we discuss about air suspension method or fluidized bed coating method, or it is also called as a Wooster method. Why it is called as a Wooster method? Because the inventions which is carried out by the Professor Dale E. Roosters. So basically, the Wooster process, which consists of the dispersing of solid particulates core materials in a supporting air system and the spray coating of the air suspended particles. So the microencapsulation by the air suspension technique is generally ascribed to the inventions of Professor Dale E. Roosters during his tenure at the University of the Wisconsin. Basically, as already I have discussed, this particular process which consisting dispersing of solid particulate core materials in a supporting air and a spray coating of the air suspended particles. So here we'll see the figure. Here we can see this is the container. Here the air distribution plate is there. Here the coating spray is there. This is nozzles where we are supplying the air. Here the coating portions will be there, and here we are controlling the particle. So basically, so this particular so within the coating chambers, this particular particles they are suspended on upward moving air streams. So the design of the chamber and the operating parameters that providing the recirculating flow of the particles through the coating zone. This will be our coating zone to the coating zone of the coating zone portion of the chambers where the coating material usually polymer solutions, which is spray applied to the moving particles. These are the moving particles, and we are providing the spray along with our nozzles. Here we can get the basic idea. Here this will be the air inlet. Here our coating solutions will be there, that will be the sprayed with the help of the nozzles. Here the coating chambers are there. So in these particular chambers, because of the spraying, this particular each and every particle gets uh, sprayed and coated, and whatever the air that will be the evacuated through the these particular two outlets. Now, what will happen within the coating chambers? The particles are suspended on an upward moving air stream. This is upward air through the nozzles. These two nozzles, one nozzle is for your coating materials, one nozzle is for your uh, air air particulates. So the design of the chamber and its operating parameters, it will affect the recirculating flow of the particles. This is flow of our particles uh, through the coating zone portions of the chambers where the coating materials, mostly the polymer solutions, is spray applied to the moving particles. Now what will happen in this particular chamber? First thing, this is our chamber which is filled with whatever the material or the micropellets will consider. So where we are providing some coating materials in a coating portions. So there are solution polymer solutions that we require to coat on that materials. We will spray, we will apply to the moving particles. Now this technology is characterized by the locations of spray nozzles at the bottom of the fluidized bed of solid particles. We are studying the fluidized bed ग्रॅन्युलेशन प्रोसेस मध्ये आपण बघितलं होतं की याच्यामध्ये एफपीटी मध्ये जशी जी प्रोसेस अप्लाइड केली जाते की ज्याच्यामधून आपण ग्रॅन्युल्स प्रिपेअर केलं सेम मेथड दॅट वी आर युजिंग हियर बट हियर what will happen, the particles are suspended in a fluidized air stream that is designed to induce the cyclic flow. This is called a cyclic flow, like this way. Of the particles, then the nozzle sprays an automized flow of the coating solutions, suspension or the other coating vehicles. These are the nozzles, and here we can see the coating solutions की जे आपल्याला कोट करायचं आहे, which is available in solution form. These are the pumps. Through pump, this particular coating solution is sprayed through the nozzle, automized air that we are using. So the coating solution is sprayed on this particular particles and they get encapsulated. So the nozzles, so the technology can be used to encapsulate solid materials with the diameters ranging from near 15 micron to the several centimeters. We have seen that for the air suspensions, the approximate particle size which is ranging from 35 micron to the 5000 micron. So we call them as a macro encapsulation process. So Brewster process that can be used to encapsulate the vitamins, minerals and functional food ingredients. So basically what will happen during each pass through the coating zone, the core material that receives an incremental coating material, increment of the coating material. So the cyclic process is repeated. So there are means several hundred times or 1,000 times repeated. So depending upon the purpose of the microencapsulation, the coating thickness that can we can decide. So what will happen? So single particles are so because of that cyclic process, it will comes in contact with our coating solution for many times. So depending upon the thickness, that we can control the coating of that particular materials. Along with that, supporting air stream, which is also serves to dry the products while it is being encapsulated. That so drying rate, these are directly related to the temperature, volume temperature of the supporting air stream. So there are different variable process variables that we have to consider for the efficient effective encapsulation by the air suspension techniques that we'll discuss. So here we'll see how exactly the uh, pro, uh, how exactly the equipment that will work. So here these are the different zones. Segregation zones are there, expansion zone is there, process chamber is there where we are providing the starting materials from here. This is discharge pipe. This will be used for the classified air and this is used for the final product. So these particularly regions where our air is distributed. So here we can see top spray nozzles. This is for our coating solutions, and bottom spray system, that will be for our air system, air process. So what will happen when we are providing the formulations of polymer solutions? These powder particles get repeatedly contact with that solutions and they will get coated. At the same times, the airs that will provide the drying out, and now the final product that will get collected from the bottom. So fluidized bed principle that will be used. So here the segregation zones where basically the nozzle sprays are there. Here basically the coating process will be carried out and the process chambers are there. So it is a simple process. ज्यावेळी आपण एखादं मटेरियल्सला ब्लो करतो त्यावेळी तो अपवर्ड डायरेक्शनने मूव्ह करतो. ऍट अ स्पेसिफिक रेटने जर तो फ्लो असेल तर तो कंटिन्युअसली सर्क्युलर मोशन्स मध्ये मूव्ह करतो. द सेम मेकॅनिझम्स आर हियर. तो सर्क्युलर मेकॅनिझम्सने रोटेट झाल्यामुळे काय होतं की तो 10 टाइम्स 100 टाइम्स 1000 टाइम्स त्या तुमच्या कॉन्टॅक्ट स्प्रेच्या कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये येणार. सो द स्प्रेची पोझिशन किंवा जो स्प्रेचा रेट आहे that is also important. So as already I have discussed, there are different factors that we have to consider. So in which the density, surface area, melting point, solubility, volatility and flowability of the core material that has to be considered first. Secondly, the concentration of the coating materials and the application rate of your coating material that you have to consider. Along with that, the coating material, the volume of the air that is required to support and fluidize the core material, that we also have to control, and the amount of coating material that is required. So these are the different factors are there that has to be considered. Along with that, the inlet and outlet of material operating temperatures. So the air suspension process that offers a wide variety of the coating material candidates for the microencapsulation purpose. But the process has the capability of applying the coating in the form of solvent solutions or the aqueous solutions or the emulsions or dispersions, which is ranging in capacity from the pounds to 900 pounds. But the coating material selections will appear to be limited. Only in the coating must be cohesive bonds with the core materials. So basically the Brewster process or the air suspension process generally considered to be the applicable only for the encapsulation of the solid core materials. So however liquid can be encapsulated by the process at a relatively low active levels by coating solid sorbents that have been pre-treated with the liquid sorbents. So the regard to the particle size, the air suspension technique which is applicable to the both microencapsulations as well as the macroencapsulation coating process. So the particle size, which is range for the microencapsulations, we consider to be excess 74 microns under the idealized conditions. Particles as small as 37 microns can be effectively encapsulated by a Wooster process. So basically, in a Wooster process, which consists of dispersing the solid particulate core materials in supporting airstream and being coated with the coating materials. So in this, first the fine core materials are suspended in air and sprayed with the coating materials. After the spraying, evaporations of the solvent, a layer of coating material is deposited on a core. So during each pass to the coating zone, the core materials that receive an increment of the coating materials. So this is a cyclic process which is repeated for several hundred times during the processing. So depending upon the purpose of the microencapsulation, the coating thickness is decided, and the supporting airstream is also serves to dry the product while it is being encapsulated, and the drying rate, which is directly related to the volume temperature of the supporting air system. The disadvantages is there, which is the agglomerations of the particles to some large size that can be achieved. So the simple thing, what will happen here, that we'll just take one brief review. So first thing, the particles are suspended in this particular chambers. This is our this press system is for our polymeric solutions, and this particular system is for our air system. So what will happen once you place the particles here? Suppose these are our particles. So what will happen once you supply the air from the bottom? It will move in upward directions and they will flow circularly like this. They will move. Now here our nozzle solutions are there. So at each and every time when the particles comes in contact with the coating materials, they will provide the incremental coating here, and our encapsulation process will be complete. So at the same time, the drying will be also carried out. So that drying rate, which is directly related to the volume temperatures of the supporting air system. So that's why I have discussed the inlet and outlet operating temperatures has to be controlled. So there are factors also that we have to consider, like the density of our core materials, the concentration of the coating materials, and the application rate of the coating material, that also we have to consider. So this all the things that we have to consider for our air suspension method. Now the second method, that is the coazerbation or the phase separation method. So coazerbation microencapsulations is the phase separations of one or many hydrocolloids from the initial solution and the subsequent depositions of the newly formed coazerbate phase around the active ingredient which is suspended in a reactions media. So basically, the microencapsulation by the coazerbation phase separation method, which is generally attributed to the NCR corporations, and with BK Green and et al. They have the patent for this coazerbation method. So the general outlines of the processes consisting of three steps. So first thing, formation of the three immiscible liquids, or sorry, formation of three immiscible chemical phases. Second one, depositions of the coating, and third one, rigidization of the coating. So that this method we have, I think we have performed in practicals also. So coazerbation, which is a unique microencapsulation technology because of very high colloids achievable up to the 99% and the control release possibilities based on the mechanical stress temperature of the sustain release. So coazerbation, which is typically used to encapsulate the flavor oil, fish oils, nutrients, vitamins, preservatives, and enzymes. In the air suspension methods, we have seen that mostly solid particles that we can encapsulate it here, but here in coagulavation process we can encapsulate it solid as well as the liquid material. There are two methods for the coagulations are available: simple coagulation method and a complex process. So the mechanism for the microcapsules formation for both the process which is similar, only the way in which the phase separation is carried out is different. So in a simple coagulations, a dissolution agent is added for the phase separation, and in a complex coagulation process, complexations between the two oppositely charged polymers are done. So that this is the difference between the complex coagulations and the simple coagulations. So the general process which consisting of the three steps. Step 1, formations of three immiscible chemical phases. Second one, depositions of coating, and third one, rigidization of coating. So in a step 1 of the process, which is the formations of three immiscible chemical phases. First is a liquid manufacturing vehicle phase, second one core material phase, and third one coating material phase. So to form the three phases, the core material is dispersed in the solutions of the coating polymers, and a solvent for the solvent for the polymers that being the liquid manufacturing vehicle phase. Now the coating material phase, which will be formed by utilizing one of the following method: by temperature change, by additions of the incompatible polymer, by non-solvent additions, by salt additions, or the polymer-polymer interaction. So by these methods, so these general modes of affecting liquid-liquid phase separations that they have given here. So by temperature changes, sorry, just 1 minute. So as already I have discussed, these are the different methods that can be used for the coating materials of phase. So in a temperature changes, generally polymer concentration versus the temperature graph they have placed, means we have to carry it out uh, uh, the effect of temperatures on our polymer concentration. So the phase boundaries with the decreasing temperatures, so that becomes the poor polymer. So the microencapsulation vehicle phase, and second phase the coating material phase become the polymer rich phase. So the temperatures, once you increase the temperatures, how they will affect on your encapsulation process. So the so depending upon that the coating that they have provided. Then incompatible polymer additions. By addition of the incompatible polymers, the liquid phase separation of the polymeric coating materials and the microencapsulations that can be accomplished by utilizing the incompatibility of dissimilar polymers which is existing in a common solvent. So where various uh, incompatible polymers are there that can be used. So the microencapsulation of the methylene blue hydrochloride with the ethyl cellulose, that is one of the best example of the phase separations by incompatible polymer additions. So in this particularly ethyl cellulose is dissolved in a toluene which will yield a polymer concentration of the 2%. Then crystalline methylene blue hydrochloride which is insoluble in toluene, it is dispersed, and with stirring in a polymer solutions, they will get coated. Then non-solvent additions is there. So a liquid that is non-solvent for a given polymer that can be added in solutions of the polymers to induce the phase separations. So it will result in immiscible liquid polymer that can be utilized to effect the microencapsulations of an immiscible polymer materials. Then salt addition, that is another one method. So soluble inorganic salts can be added to aqueous solutions for some water soluble polymers which will causes the phase separations. Uh, some oil soluble vitamins which is microencapsulated, which is induced by the additions of the sodium sulfate to the gelation solution salts. So this is one more method that we can adopt it for coating material phase that we can form by the salt additions. Then polymer-polymer interactions are there. So the interactions of the oppositely charged polyelectrolytes can result in the formations of the complex, which will reduce the solubility by which the phase separations will occur. So these are the different methods are there. So in temperature changing, so high to room temperature that can be achieved. So where ethyl cellulose, that will be ethyl cellulose, which is a well-known examples, which will act as a coating materials. Then incompatible polymers additions, toluenes example that we have discussed. Non-solvent additions, where we have discussed about the ethyl ketone or the cellulose acetate butyrate example. Salt additions, we have discussed about the uh, sulfate salts, that sodium sulfate salt that is used for the vitamin microencapsulation purpose, and some polymer-polymer interactions where positively charged gelatin and negatively charged gum aerobic solution that will come together, and they will because of interactions of the oppositely charged polyelectrolytes, they will form the complex which is having the reduced solubility where the phase separations will occur. So these are the different methods that we can use for the phase separation, or the that can be used for the coating material phase. Now coagulation phase separation method, as we have discussed, uh, which is divided by the three phases, or uh, three phases, or the three steps. Second step of the process, which consists of the depositing the liquid polymer coating upon the core material, depositions of the coating. First thing, that is the formation of the three immiscible phase that just now we have discussed. There are various methods by which the phase separations will occur by changing the temperatures of the polymer solution, by adding the salts, non-solvent, or by incompatible polymers to the polymer solutions, or by polymer-polymer interaction. Now, in the depositions of coating, so this can be achieved by control the physical mixing of the coating materials and the core materials in the manufacturing vehicles. So depositions of the liquid polymers around the core materials occurs if the polymer is adsorbed at the interface which is formed between the core materials and the liquid vehicle phase. And these adsorptions, which is prerequisite to the effective coating. The first thing what will happen here the phase separations will occur. Now the coadsorbate droplets, they will deposited on our core materials. Now this will be our core materials and this will be our polymer solutions. By any method, by temperature changes, by polymer additions or polymer-polymer interactions, they will separate the phases, two phases get separated. Now that coadsorbate droplets, they will get deposited on our core materials. So the continuous depositions of the coating material, which will be promoted by reductions in the total free interfacial energy of the system. It is brought about by decrease of the coating material surface area during the coalescence of the liquid polymer droplets. So here, first step phase separation, second step depositions, and third one, that is the membrane formation of the rigid coating, rigidizations of coating. So the third phase, rigidization of the coating, which involves rigidizing the coating by thermal or by cross-linking or by the dissolving technique to form the self-sustaining microcapsules. So these are the three methods or three phases or three steps are there that can be utilized for the co-adsorption or the phase separation method. This is the most commonly used methods are there. So in the first step, phase separations will occur. So the coating material phase formed by temperature change, by addition of the polymers, or by non-solvent addition, or by the salt addition of the polymer-polymer interaction. Second is depositions, and third one is rigidization. So this is the method that we can use for the microencapsulation process. The remaining process that we'll discuss in a next lecture. Thank you.